All the action.
Big chance by Buddha hits top shelf, right where Mama hides the cookies, and the Red Army off to a fast start.
All the excitement.
It goes in! It goes in! Are you kidding me?
All the heartbreak.
Oh no!
It's Over 50 Hockey Talk on The Clyde and Cody Show with hosts Clyde Roberts and Cody James.
2 weeks of Over 50 hockey in the books already. We still have 10 weeks of regular season matches to be played, and already everything is heating up in just 2 games. Blue Bombers starting off with a 2-0 record, Black Aces 1-1, Red Army still at 0-2, and the Gold Knights at 1-1. And we'll first talk about the Blue Bombers Black Aces game. What a thriller that was to see, all the way down to the finish. Cody, I reckon we're going to see 3 more of these this season.
That is if you're assuming the Black Aces are only going to be playing one period of hockey every time they play the Blue Bombers, man. I think I was rather disappointed overall in their performance because I know this was a team that was better than what they showed this past Sunday. For the second week in a row, man, they could not get a goal on the board in the first period, and it was until the second until they finally got something going. And you look at how they transpired. 4 of the 5 goals they scored were in the second period, man. And mind you, they got a buzzer-beating goal off of sheer dumb luck in that final minute. So don't tell me that it's going to be an absolute classic if the Blue Bombers are going to be winning it every time, because the Black Aces only play one period of hockey, man. I know the Black Aces are better than this, and they have to step up in future games.
I didn't realize you felt so strongly about the Black Aces there, Cody.
Yes, I do. And,
you know, everybody has their teams in stock.
It's not just the Black Aces, but again, it goes back to the Gold Knights. You have to look at these teams for what they are, and you can't always just look at them in the heat of the moment or how they do in one week or the other. You said it yourself, Clyde. It's a long season. We have 2 weeks down. We got 10 more to go. Lots of over 50 hockey I can't wait to see. And you just have to see how things play out, because we are going to be looking at this season till at least November. So, with that said, you have to look at that matchup, and I think the Black Aces learned a lot in terms of what they're going to have to do when they meet these guys again August 30th. And I reckon that it's going to be a definite win for them next time they meet around, because they're going to be more prepared. I believe that they'll play 3 more periods of hockey, and that is all she wrote. That is my final say on this Blue Bomber Black Aces team.
Well, you do have to admit one thing, Cody. You look at the way that game turned out to be. Wayne Webster got 5 goals in that game. Practically, it was 2 players that were doing all the offensive production there between Wayne Webster and Angelo Pontello, with 1 goal and 4 assists.
Yeah, and it's not very common to see that kind of production between 2 players alone against a defense that was boasted to be the best during preseason time. And the fact that you let 2 different players put all those points on you says a lot for the Black Aces, and I know that that is something they're going to have to improve on in this upcoming week to make sure that not 1 or 2 players are going to dominate offensively on you all day.
And even though you look at the production for the Blue Bombers, Black Aces was a little more even out on the books. Paul Delano had 2 assists. Woody Borg got 2 assists as well, but he also put up 2 goals. Mike Bird, the rookie, also getting a goal and assist apiece, as did Greg Bell. We have to give a shout out to Mr. Bell there. Not very often do you see a 2-ranked defenseman getting those kind of points in a big time matchup.
Yeah, I tip your hat off to Greg Bell, man. That was one heck of a performance he had this past game. Him and Mitch Browser, man. And I noticed that too in that game. The combination between these 2, I think, is going to be an underestimated combo. You might think I'm crazy here, Clyde, but I'm telling you right now, you get Greg Bell and Mitch Browser going, that is an underestimated duo that could put up points when you least expect it.
Oh, I don't doubt you one bit there, Cody. Anything is possible in over 50 hockey. We've seen it time and time again. I like the chances for the Black Aces, but you do bring up a good point, though. This Black Aces team, just like the Blue Bombers, have a uncanny ability to have players step up in key situations. And right now, so far early in the season, we've seen it in Mitch Browser in particular, Greg Bell did it this week, but even last week with Mitch Brazier getting on the ball, and not just Mitch Brazier, but just the recent performance he's had here so far. You have to look at the way he's been playing, and for a man who is primarily a defenseman, you get him on the forward position, and he's actually been having a quite the productive time up on that forward line.
Well, that's definitely one way to look at it, and I'm looking at Mitch Brazier, and he's somebody that, again, is a good pickup for this Black Aces team. You have to find a way to get him implemented, and for his sake and how he's performed, just a job well done by Mitch Brazier, and I anticipate him doing more of that stuff in the next 10 weeks as we get to play along.
Stefan Borge coming away with nearly an 85% save percentage, saw a lot of shots here against the Black Aces, and surprise, surprise, he finds a way to step up in key games. And then Chewy, you look at his rate, and he's got an 80% save percentage. A little bit of a minor setback for the goalie that was picked first overall for the goalies, but I expect Mr. McClung to have a better opportunity against the Red Army this week.
Oh, without a doubt, Clyde. I think Chewy just had a little bit of an off-put game because the Black Aces in entirety just were caught off guard by a Blue Bomber team that was ready to rock and roll. They dominated throughout the entire game. They played 3 periods of hockey. Not all 3 were necessarily hard out, but they played just enough to keep everything at bay, and that is all you need to win games. Granted, anyone can win any given Sunday, but the Blue Bombers were definitely prepared in that game, and it showed all the way through.
Despite the Blue Bombers having a complete game, the penalties that the Black Aces gave up in the third period, just an utter collapse for a team that was just getting ready to get back into business.
I don't know what was up with the Black Aces in the third period, man. I mean, between Mike Burrs tripping, Paul Delano losing it a little bit, we look back over the film, and it seemed like they were just getting out of hand, like just to the point of, you gotta play your game. You're down by a certain amount of goals. You gotta fight to get back, but you can't get too aggressive because this team needs you. And Paul Delano, being a top premier player that he is, has to be aware that he can't be giving up penalties that cost this team big. And you look at the scoring performance, that's how the Blue Bombers were able to retake the lead, was off the power play goals and the man-on advantages. You just can't have that in key situations throughout this regular season, and certainly not in the playoffs.
Well, I'm sure after 2 weeks, the Black Aces definitely know that penalties is going to kill them. They're at 17 points right now, Cody, and I think that this would be an opportunity for Captain Tom Finley to try to take charge and remind his team that, even though they have the talent, the last thing they need is penalty minutes. Because even right now in the standings, if the season were to end today, they're at third place.
Yeah, not a lot of people value penalty minutes as a key determination in terms of standings, but when you're playing in more teams, yeah, it'll get a little more effective, but with 4 teams, penalty minutes aren't going to be that big of a deal unless if you have a 3-way tie for first, which is absolutely possible, because again, 10 weeks of hockey left to go. You never know what to see, man. I've seen crazier things happen, especially on the Pacific Island, but here, you look at this, it's just as equivalent. It could be a tsunami season for everybody where there's just big waves coming for each and every team. But for the Black Aces here, I think their tsunami came early. Now it's time for them to take charge and hit the waves at the right peak time. This could be the chance against the Red Army team still looking for their first win.
And speaking of the Red Army, we switch over to their game against the Golden Knights this past Sunday. And for the Red Army, it looked like they were even-keeled for about 2 periods because they actually kept up with the Golden Knights, and it was a reasonable game into the third period.
Yeah, the Red Army are still trying to find that identity in these past few weeks, as we've been talking about on our podcasts. They're starting to figure out what they need to do specifically to get themselves back on track on the offensive route, the defensive route, and the way they played against the Golden Knights shows that there is light at the end of the tunnel for this Red Army team, that all hope is not lost, and if they can continue to build on that momentum against the Black Aces team that's going to be tough, they just might see a turnaround on their season.
And for the Red Army, they held Dave Wachowiak, Jim Thomas, and Chris Paris to 1 goal and 1 assist apiece, and Mr. Ralph Pitts was only held to 2 goals as well. But the big storyline in that game, Mario Archikovic, I don't think he could have played a better game unless if it was a shutout. A 93% save percentage, stopping 26 of 28 shots. Absolute brilliant performance by him.
Brilliance as you call it, and I can't think of a better word to describe it, Clyde. Brilliant was Mario Archikovic, and the way he played was a big step up and pretty much determined the Red Army's chances of coming back in the third period. Because despite it being a game where they still had a chance to come back and win, Mario was not going to let the Red Army tie it up that easily. They had to work hard for it, and every shot you saw on Sunday was hard-earned shots, and Archikovic deserved every single save he made on those big-time shots. Again, TJ Pichet, Mike Rossi, they're getting better and better with their shot attempts, but that was just a day where Mario Archikovic shut everything down on the Red Army, and not very often do we see keepers have that kind of performance.
Oh, I agree with you absolutely 200%. You know, again, Archikovic, there's a reason why he is a 2-time defending goalie champion, trying to become the first goalie to 3-peat in a Stanley Keg, and he is on the right track right now from what we've seen, leading the league save percentage wise at 88%. It's going to be a big challenge for him this season to try to keep those numbers high.
Without a doubt.
And we'll briefly step aside here as we hear a word from our sponsor. On the other side of this break, we talk Week 3 hockey matches, Blue Bombers and Gold Knights at it, and then the Red Army taking on their biggest challenge of the season, a defensive resurging Black Aces team hungry to wipe away the slate clean from last week's loss. You're listening to Over 50 Hockey Talk on the Clyde and Cody Show.
Introducing Integral Hockey, the world's best hockey stick repair system. Featuring patent-pending state-of-the-art technology, Integral Hockey has made it possible to repair today's carbon fiber hockey sticks and bring them back to life without compromising performance for a fraction of the cost of a new stick. This incredible system and technology speaks for itself. And once you take the Integral Hockey Challenge, you'll also see why people become instant and repeat customers. It's easy to imagine how this technology benefits everyone, including parents who cringe at the thought of spending upwards of $1,000 or more on sticks each season, junior, college, university, and pro teams who are strapped with exorbitant stick costs, and adult recreation players who also break sticks all the time. And let's not forget about the environment either, because with over 2 million hockey sticks produced annually destined for landfills, we're making a serious difference in reducing those numbers. Integral Hockey has also become the leader in repaired hockey stick sales, offering consumers the latest models at a fraction of the cost of new ones, because no one likes paying $300 for a stick. Now, the cost to repair a stick to the consumer is on average only $55. Well worth the cost to repair a $250 to $300 stick, and the cost of buying a repaired stick from us is $100 or less.
It's Over 50 Hockey Talk on The Clyde and Cody Show with hosts Clyde Roberts and Cody James.
So as we take a look into these Week 3 previews, after this Sunday we'll have one round robin of the schedule complete, but we first talk about the 2-15 matchup. It's the 2-0 Blue Bombers that are red hot this season coming out of the gate against a 1-1 Gold Knight team that has arguably the hottest keeper in the league in Mario Archikovic.
Yeah, Archikovic has had a lot of success so far in these first 2 games, and he's going to have a big challenge against a Blue Bomber team that has fired off so many shots, fired off so many points, and that will be ultimately a big challenge. Can he still maintain on top of every goalie in this league after Sunday when he's got the Blue Bomber trifecta coming into town on Sunday? That is going to be the big question heading into this game.
Well, first thing to talk about between these two teams is the tremendous or should I say brilliant performance of sophomore Wayne Webster, who in his rookie campaign was able to finish with 14 goals this season alone. Cody, he's already leading the league in goals with 6 on the season. Really a sensational player to watch.
Yeah, Wayne Webster is just one of those guys, man, that finds a way to step up, carry the puck himself, and the way he moves the puck on the ice is so fluid, so brilliant, as you call it, Clyde, and just finds a way, going back and forth, back and forth. Defenders just don't know how to stop Webster when he has the puck.
An absolute treat to watch. And then we look at that matchup between how Webster will fare against Archikovic. Now, mind you, Cody, last season, 6 of the 14 goals that Webster scored were against Archikovic, and it seems that for Archikovic, his number is had by Mr. Wayne Webster.
Well, that's one way of putting it. I mean, yeah, I see where you're coming from with that, Clyde. I mean, I will definitely agree with the fact that Webster, as of recent, has had Archikovic's number heading into over 50 games. But again, they've only met twice in the over 50 hockey league. Now, with this being a third meeting, things might be different depending on the different setups of teams, but this is going to be a game where defense is absolutely mandatory for the Golden Knights. You cannot afford to just go off of this game on offense alone and expect to win against a complete team like the Blue Bombers. And so, with that said, Doug Radigan is going to have to be there. It is absolutely mandatory for Radigan to show up if the Golden Knights are going to have a fighting chance of keeping up with the Blue Bombers on Sunday, because we've seen in the past 2 weeks already, the key to the Blue Bombers winning is they continue to score because their defense has just still continued to have been suspect. Stefan Borsch giving up an average of 5 goals a game despite going 2-0 on the season is one key Achilles heel that teams can take advantage of if the defense is not ready to step up and help Borsch out on the defensive side of things. Now, mind you, Clyde, I look at the Blue Bombers and they can continue to have a great offense, but do we see traces of the Golden Knights from last season in the Blue Bombers? I think we might see a little bit better when you look at the way they've been focused on the Blue Bomber trifecta and Scott Helwin, Angelo Pontillo, and Wayne Webster, and nobody has been able to stop that trifecta as yet.
Absolutely couldn't have put it a better way. The Blue Bomber trifecta is the key if you're going to look to stop the Blue Bombers. But nevertheless, you look at the Golden Knights trifecta in who they have, and again, with Dave Wachowiak, he already has 3 goals and 2 assists on the season. Jim Thomas making his over 50 debut last week. He put up a pair of goals as well. You know, can't really underestimate Mr. Thomas, the long-time vet.
You can't underestimate him, but you can't overestimate him either, to the point where Jim Thomas, great player. He's always been a great player, but these days, does he have the ability to score a hat trick or 4 goals and to put the offensive load on his back like he's done in the past? That has yet to be determined since his return. Granted, it's only been 1 game, but does he do that against the Blue Bombers? That is another storyline question to look at heading into Sunday's match. Personally, even though I am a big advocate for this Golden Knight team, reality is I just don't see that happening unless he gets major help from the rest of his squad to help him get that kind of point productivity.
And last but certainly not least, as we look at these two teams, your prediction for that 2:15 game, Cody?
Well, again, if the Golden Knights are going to have a fighting chance against this Blue Bomber team, Doug Radigan is an absolute must to show up. Radigan, we've seen already, as he played with the Black Aces last season, he's had that capability to shoot those wrist shots on point. Some can be deadly, the others can float just a little left or the right, but you never know when a good wrist shot can come in handy. 2 weeks ago, we've seen Steve Gorman shoot from point, and 2 times he was successful with the Red Army as they ended up scoring 5 goals against Borsch. You never know, but with Doug Radigan, it is absolutely imperative that he shows up if the Golden Knights were to stand a fighting chance against a Blue Bomber team that is mighty powerful with that offensive juggernaut.
And so, prediction there, now about a scoreline.
It's hard to say, Clyde. I mean, I've never really been big on scoreline predictions, especially between two teams like the Blue Bombers and Gold Knights, which I have a feeling that it's going to ultimately come down to Sunday, depending on which team shows up to play and if both teams are ready to go at it. But if I had to put a scoreline in place, it would probably be another barn burner. But the Blue Bombers, I think, come away with this at least 7-5 scoreline. 7-5 Blue Bombers win this one.
I'm on the same boat with you there. I think the Blue Bombers are going to get a victory over this Gold Knight team. I agree that it's going to be a barn burner, but I'm going to one-up you on this one, and I'm going to say it's going to be 8-7.
Hey, this is Clyde Roberts saying it, folks. I'm not saying anything else, but this is your opinion here, Clyde. If you think it's 8-7, by all means, but I'm not going to disrespect Archikovic by saying he's going to give up more than 6 or 7 goals. And I'm going to tell you right now, if the Golden Knights end up winning this one, this is going to be on you, man. Because I would not disrespect the Golden Knights like that, thinking that Mario Archikovic is going to give up 8 goals at the very least, if not more.
And then the afternoon time slot, the concluding game, Red Army taking on the Black Aces. And already, Cody, we've talked about how much of a tough matchup it's going to be for Red, for a team that is continuing to try to find its team niche, to try to find the right pieces to put together. And for this Red Army team, what do you do when you go up against a resurging Black Aces squad that's just hungry for a victory?
Well, we'll say it again. You look at Mike Rossi and TJ Piché, they're not exactly at that offensive level yet that shows that they are 5 and 4 stars that can get the offensive production going, is probably the best way I can say it for now. But in place of that, again, Steve Gorman has stepped up to the plate for the Red Army, got some points in the opener. Last week for them, they played hard, and you had some names that are not as recognized putting up points for the Red Army team. You had Mike Falbo that got a goal on the board, and Todd McAvoy. If you put McAvoy and Falbo in the right places, and if you feed them the puck and just put them in that right position, you never know. You could see some great offensive production. And mind you, we've seen McAvoy get way more assists than goals last season when he was with the Green Hornets. I like his chances if you just implement him into the right offense. But I think for the Red Army, if they're going to start winning games, they have to find their system. They have to know who are their finishers that can finish and put the puck in the back of the net. And then they also need to find out who are going to be those guys that can set up and be the playmakers. Right now, it seems like they're still trying to find their identity, I think. But at some point, each player, if they're going to start winning games, is going to realize what specific function, what specific role they find on this team. And if I know Captain Todd Duncan well, he's going to make sure that he's going to find those roles for his players so that the Red Army can get back into the thick of the standings and look to compete for another Stanley Keg.
You talk about the team improving, Cody. The Red Army last week had a tremendous number of shots on goal on Archikovic, again getting to as close as 30 on the game. And for the Red Army, they have to do the same thing against Chewy. I mean, that's how the Blue Bombers were able to get their chances. They had chance after chance to try to put points on the board. They did at some point, but you have to keep shooting on Chewy if you're going to be looking to break him down.
No argument there for me. And again, a Black Ace team that is hungry for a chance to get back over 500 is going to be a big challenge for this Red Army team. I don't see the Black Aces having a lot of weaknesses heading into this match. But again, the Red Army is going to have to find and create opportunities and take shot after shot if they are going to look to somehow defeat this Black Aces team.
Perfect segue into the predictions on the game. I'll go first this time, and I will give you everything you need to know about this game. The Black Aces are going to win this game, I think. There's just no doubt in my mind. Unless if the Red Army somehow find their identity in 2 days' time, it's just not possible against a Black Aces team that is in full throttle and just has too many weapons to work with.
You say that now, Clyde, but remember, any given Sunday, you don't know exactly who's going to show up for each team. And for this Black Aces team, whether they have 2 lines or 3 lines, I firmly believe they will always be a tough team to beat. But you can't underestimate this Red Army team either. I might be going out on a limb here, but I say the Red Army are going to win this game because they are going to find their right opportunities. I think Mike Rossi, TJ Pache are going to have a week that finally everything clicks together, and they're going to find a way to power their way through a defense that is still trying to get back into the swing of things. So with that said, Clyde, I say Red Army win it 5-4.
Like you told me, Cody, it's your prediction, and if it ends up being wrong, everyone knows who to go to first for the attack. Hope you've been very careful there, Cody. You know, it's a tall order, and if you're looking to be a betting man, if you're looking to hit the $1 million jackpot, then betting on the Red Army just might be the answer today. That's all we have for this week. Again, at 2:15 at the TGH Iceplex North Rink, you'll find the Blue Bombers and the Golden Knights for the Week 3 matchup, and then the Red Army and Black Aces at 3:30. We thank you again for listening to us on Over 50 Hockey Talk on the Clyde and Cody Show. For Cody James, this is Clyde Roberts saying goodbye.